So now let's get into the details of each of these steps. Okay. So the first step is that you will receive a list. Okay. So you might get a list of topics like this. Okay. Now we have to ensure that when you get a list of topics, there is a heading to it. Like this is either introduction to periodontology, gingiva. Now this gingiva may have 10 topics under it. PDL may have 10 topics under it. So we will get a list like this. But as I said, this might be a list that is directly from DCI syllabus. We need to cut it short a lot so that the book is tiny. Okay. Another thing that you should keep in mind when you have the list is that you should see how you want to divide it as volumes. We prefer not to have one single book of your subject. We prefer to at least have 2 volumes. So you might want to have one volume which is like the first half of the subject and the second volume which is the second half of the subject, so that it's easier for the student to carry. For example, when we did our anatomy book, it was like this thick, so it was a little heavy for the student. But when we did our perio book, it was actually very tiny and the student is actually able to carry it better. So we think that having at least 2 volumes of a book would definitely help you. Okay. So so you can have a look at the topic list. You, in your mind, you can decide that okay, I want to divide the volumes in a certain way. Okay. Now another thing is here only that I would say that you should think about is that there are a certain number of topics that are must know. That is definitely there for your printed book. But there are a certain list of topics which are like, they may know or they may not know. It's not like a must know, but you don't want to skip it. But at the same time, you don't want to print it, right? It's not exactly useful for every student. In that case, you have to decide which topics you would like to have in your book as a printed version and the other ones which will be available to the students on our app, and we can constantly update that list. So the first target when we start the subject is to finish all the must know topics, which are the ones that are going to go for print. Only then will we come to the topics which are not going to be printed, which is the topics that are just going to be on the app. Okay, so this is the way that the Excel sheet has to be, where you will have every topic that is there in the volume of a textbook. You should have the name of the chapter, which is the heading, and then you should have the subdivision for each chapter. As we said, it's mostly exam oriented because this particular project is a revision tool, which means that we only want students to use this as their last minute exam tool. What we realized is that when we took the entire subject and we did not divide it as exam oriented topics, the student found this revision tool to be exactly like a textbook. So then we decided, okay, for our printed volume, we should only stick to the exam oriented topics. Third is column C, where we actually have the final breakdown of the topics. Like for example, as we discussed even in the last video, suppose one topic you want to have part 1 and part 2. So that will be done on column C. Okay. Next you have columns D, where you have to decide whether you want to print that topic or not to print that topic. In other words, the topics that are must know and the topics that are, may or may not be important for the student. Serial numbers. I'm really emphasizing on serial numbers because serial numbers really help us organize our work. We almost do 5 to 6 subjects parallelly, and we think assigning a serial number to each topic helps. For example, the heading of the topic is Roman number 2 and topic number 4. So instead of telling the name of the topic, we will say 2.4. So within our systems, within our huge team, our way of communication will be 2.4 rather than naming the topic. So for that reason, we really emphasize that the serial numbers are done well from the beginning, so that later, as I said, when we reach the final stage, we are not exactly struggling for the serial numbers. Communication. As I said, we use the serial numbers for communication. And we divide the work. We really believe that creating a beautiful product is teamwork, and ensuring that all the teams have their own role and they all fulfill their own role will make it very easy for the entire product to come out within our timelines. So let's talk about the Excel sheet. So on our Excel sheet, this is an Excel sheet that is at the end, when all our steps are done. The reason it looks beautiful to me right now is because it has all the ones that are green. So how does that happen? So suppose we want to use gingiva and macroscopic features. Once you are done with one task related to that particular topic, you have to enter C on your Excel sheet, and we have formatted it such that once you put C on your Excel sheet, it will turn green. Another thing that will automatically happen is the percentages. So on top, you will be able to see, okay, out of this particular subject, this much of the subject is completed. So ones that are green is what it counts to finish that particular subject. Okay. Yeah, any tasks that are awaiting to be taken up will be white, obviously, because we have not touched that. Ones that are done will be green. Sometimes you may want, like suppose some topic may not have an illustration. You cannot find an illustration to put. In that case, that topic can be turned red. You can use the key I, or you can write no in the column and it will turn red. Okay, so it will not have any illustration for that matter. Okay, percentage basically tells us the progress tracking. So what we are basically doing is we are seeing that, okay, if this is 82%, then we should make sure that the other columns also eventually turn 82%, which means that we are able to track the entire process on our Excel sheet, just opening the Excel sheet and looking at the percentages, which is why we really recommend the usage of these Excel sheets on a daily basis. So when you get up in the morning, look at the percentage. When you sleep at night, look at the percentage, because that will tell you whether your team is actually progressing and whether the work is happening or not. Yes, phase 3 is the mind map creation and review. So now we'll talk about how this mind map has to be created. As I said, you will be assigned content creators. So the content creators will do your base mind map work, and it will be reviewed by the SME. So what is the SME exactly checking? He's checking accuracy. Obviously, the content that they might have put may have some small errors here and there. So you will check for the accuracy and you will see whether this is exactly what you envisioned if you would have made the mind map on your own. Revision focus. A lot of times the content creators will have a tendency that, let me add whatever is there. But that's not what a teacher is expecting in an examination. So we have to make sure that we focus on the core concepts, the must know headings or the must know points that you would expect your student to remember. So revision focus is something that we really emphasize on. In the passion of it, you want to create a lot more than revision, but I would recommend don't do it because it will not fit into a book. And the last is question inclusion. So, as a subject matter expert, you know that in this particular mind map, this topic is going to come for a viva, or this topic is important for the student for any undergraduate exam. So in that case, we would want you to let the content creators know, and we will have a little element so that the students who are reading the book can know that, okay, this is important for viva or this is important for NEET, stuff like that. Yeah. So this is very important when we talk about the mind map, that each mind map should have only 5 to 6 branches at the most. So I'll talk about what branches are and what everything is. So what happens is that in a particular A4 size landscape sheet, we are only able to fill at the most this much information if you want it to be visible, right? So if you see, a mind map is supposed to be read clockwise. So you start from here and then you read the mind map like this. So your introduction or your topic, the basic beginning of the topic has to come from this side and then you go clockwise. Okay, so as you can see, this mind map has only 5 headings, right? It just has 5 major topics. So marginal gingiva, what is the definition? What is the free gingival groove? What is the unattached gingiva, gingival zenith and gingival sulcus? So in a map, she was able to only fit 5, but that meant that she had to delete a lot of things. So this is what we call as the first main branch. So as I said, it should have not more than 5 to 6 branches, and each of them should have only 3 levels. So if you look at it from the center, this has only 1, 2 and 3 levels. If you go beyond it, there is no page to extend it. So we have to make sure that it comes just between 3 levels. From the central topic, you can just have 1, 2 and 3 levels in order to make the mind map fit well. Let's take an example where 3 levels are not possible. There might be a situation. We will try to fit our mind map into that. For example, here. So it's 1, 2, 3 and 4. So sometimes we may have to, go outside this rule. But most of the times, most of our content can fit into a single mind map like that. So if you saw this mind map, it had a, like a lot of pictures over here, which is why the mind map was smaller. But in some other cases, you can have just one picture at the bottom and you may have like 5 branches which are occupying more space on your paper. So all of this designing will be done by our team. They are very equipped to do it, but we recommend that as a subject matter expert, you know this in advance so that you don't give them a lot of information and your information is concise from the beginning itself. If you are struggling to concise information, please meet our team. We'll try to help you, try to reduce the information or try to come up with a better solution. Sometimes we are not able to put everything in the form of a mind map. So we'll ask you to make either notes or we'll ask you to make some picture based diagrams where you just have pictures, you just have labeling and the student is able to remember the topic. I would say sometimes in subjects we don't even recommend the entire book to be mind maps. So in Perio, for example, we did not have a lot of topics which were very conceptual based. So in that case, we've had normal notes where we just have like the definition, the pictures, the labels, but it's not exactly in the format of a mind map. In other subjects, like for example in biochemistry, there are a lot of cycles. So in that case, we have to tailor make our revision tool for that subject. We cannot always make a mind map, and that's also a very important thing that we must note. Yeah. Font size should be 130. This is something that we will take care of. And yeah, see you guys in the next video.